Hi, good morning. I've just been out to Dunstable, and I took the Iconics rifle, which I wanted to give away, and no one wanted it. So I've part exchanged it for the Snowpeak 900. I've got the Zula's scope on it. In fact, it's not too bad when you put it up to your eye. Very lightweight, very light. I think the Zula's is around about the same weight of the rifle, which I'm not sure about, but yeah, be interesting to shoot. I've ordered a riser for the cheek piece, and also the butt, which will slot down. I've just got to find a place where they do something that goes over the barrel and Picatinny, the air cylinder, to fit a bipod. Yeah, it looks very nice and very lightweight. Of course, the stock closes up. It measures around about 2 foot, I imagine. This is in a 2.2. I haven't shot it yet because it's pouring down the rain outside. So, in fact, it's empty of air anyway, so I haven't filled it up. Yeah. Be interesting to shoot it and see what it's like, okay? Very small. Yeah, I'll be capable of standing up with this one. Yeah, I quite like it. So, right, okay. So what did I get on the deal? Now, when I paid for that Iconics, I paid $189. This was $358, and I paid £222. So the difference is what they have allowed me for the Iconics. So that's not bad, is it? So that's £160 back on the Iconics, and I only paid £189 for it. So yeah, I got a good deal there. So Steve, what I said yesterday to you, forget all about asking the young lady about the SMK, because now I've got it. All I want to do now is shoot it and see what it's going to be like. Yeah. And now I've got this Snowpeak SMK AP900 .22 caliber. Yeah, it certainly feels nice. I mean, you certainly need I think, I'm not quite sure if I need a cheek piece or not. It seems like it's shouldering okay, so I just have to zero this scope in. Now, I know a lot of people say about zeroing, they don't like it. But don't forget, this is a YouTube channel. And when I get a gun and put a scope on, the first thing I have to do is zero it in. You know, whether I'm doing it on YouTube or not, I still have to zero the gun in. So that'll be what I'll be doing later if it stops raining. And also the ballistics, I've got to do a chronograph on it. Well, it comes with a silencer, so you don't have to go and buy a new silencer, so that's handy. Yeah, it feels back heavy because of the scope on it. You take the scope off, it's absolutely lightweight, you know what I mean? Yeah, well pleased with it. What it's going to shoot like, I don't know, but at the moment I'm well pleased. Right, okay, as you know, I've got the Zulus scope on it, on this AP900. Now, although it's been onto another rifle, I want this scope just for this rifle. Now, there's a couple of things you might want to know about the scope in a way of menu. If, for argument's sake, you're changing your scope to another rifle to keep it on there permanently, you don't have to go into factory settings and take it back to factory settings, because if you do that you're going to lose all your ballistic data. So what you want to do is just go into your reticle setting and change that back down to 0 on all profiles, okay? And that's all you have to do, and then you can re-zero that on profile A or whatever, and you've got all your information, ballistic data, still left in. Now, depending on the chronograph reading, you've got to change in the ballistic table your muzzle velocity. So let's say this comes off, say the Beeman, which shoots 700 feet per second, but this rifle may only shoot 490, say 500. So you change that muzzle velocity down to the rifle. If you're keeping the same pellets, well then you don't have to change that. And of course the other thing is your scope height. Now normally I found that on my rifles the scope height is around about 2.45 to 2.50. So I normally set it around about 2.50, okay? And that's really all I have to do to keep all my ballistic data. Just changing the muzzle velocity of the chronograph, the average, FPS. Yeah, makes it very easy doing it that way. I might have missed something, but I don't think I have. But if I have missed something, well then of course I'll come back and tell you. Yeah. But when you think about this little rifle, you could be out in your car or van and no one's going to notice it really, and you could really go out and shoot from your car window, especially if you're in a wooded area or a back lane. No one's going to notice. But then of course you're taking a chance of doing that just in case the police come. But no, it's so small and lightweight. Now what I'm going to do in a minute is go into the living room and record to see if I've got any sort of shake. You know what I mean? Sometimes being a light rifle, you get that kind of shake because your body and this is so light. So I'm going to test that out and see what it's like. So until I do that, I'll see you in a few minutes, okay? Right, okay, so now I'm in the living room. I'll turn the scope on and we'll test this out. Some people say lightweight syndrome, but it's really hard to say. Right, let's focus that in. Now there's a part of a tree here. I'll start the video off. Right, so there's a part of a tree there, and we'll see if I can hold it still. You know, I can see myself moving quite badly, really. But that's not too bad. And the way I shoot, as I said before, get on that target and pull that trigger. That will counteract all that movement on that crosshair. So from here, if I wanted to take a twig out, I get onto the twig. As soon as I get on it, I pull that trigger. But there is a shake. I think they call it lightweight syndrome or something like that. But that's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'll turn the video off. Yeah, that's not too bad really when you think about it. You know, it's just something you've got to get used to, I suppose. But you know, I mean, look at that, look how small that is. Yeah, I quite like it, yeah. And to adjust the regulator, you would have to take the air tube off, and the regulator sits round about here, and then you can just adjust it. I'm not quite sure where it's set at, but once I chronograph it, I can find out how or if it needs to be adjusted. Plus, I'm not quite sure how many shots you get out of it. I imagine around about 60. It's a small air tube. You might not even get 60, I don't know. But then, when you think about it, I don't really oh, in fact, I can lower that buttstock down, so I don't really need a cheap piece. I can lower that down on that pig rail. Yeah, I'll have to play about with it, you know, and see what feels comfortable, because at the moment, as I'm shouldering it, you can see it's above my shoulder, so it really needs to come down a bit. But as it comes down, then of course the cheek piece will come down as well with it. Yeah. I mean, although this buttstock is made out of plastic, it's really, really firm. There's no movement in that whatsoever. You know. Yeah, we'll be very interested in shooting this and see how it performs. 25 MPa maximum pressure. Well, I don't know what that is, so all I'm going to do is put maybe 190 bar in it. Oh no, it's regulated, so 200 bar, you know. But, you know, now I couldn't do that with one of my other rifles. You know, I couldn't hold that up and that's how light this is. Now you see me struggle with some of the rifles I shot, you know, but look, see that, just one-handed. I mean, to me that is fantastic, you know. Yeah. And you have got a couple, you have got a tool to take, I think, to take the air gauge out, or to bleed it. I'm not quite sure. I haven't read the manual. But it feels nice, and to me it looks nice. Yeah, I've got no complaints at all. I mean, how it's going to shoot, I don't know, but I've never worried about anything like that. Yeah, I like the two-tone. Very effective. And you can adjust the trigger if you want, but until I find out if it needs it. Also, I've seen there's a problem with the trigger, the screws where adjustments. Some people have taken it to a shooting range and have been shooting pellets, and all of a sudden it stops. And what happens there, if the screws here are not locked tight down, the vibration, well, there's not much vibration in a PCP, but the vibration or even the moving of the trigger can unscrew the screws. But I'll have to wait and see if that happens to me. And if it does, well then I'll put blue Loctite on, and I think there's 3 screws, maybe 2, I don't know, but I would Loctite them down so that wouldn't happen again. Yeah, okay, so I'm just letting you know what's happening. It's pouring down the rain. I can't really do nothing. Maybe later on, okay? So if I can, I will see you later on. Bye.